Hey folks, thanks for stopping by Dave's Other Stuff today and 4th and 40 Garage. Why 4th and 40 Garage? Well, it's because of this guy right here, my beautiful Royal Enfield Classic 350, also known as Winston. And when I'm out on the back roads here in New England in 4th gear going 40 miles an hour, Winston is in his perfect happy place, chugging along, happy, sounds great, runs great, and I'm in my happy place too. So 4th and 40 Garage, it is. Today I'm going to show you how I put a painted, color-matched Royal Enfield logo on the front of my Classic 350 here, but it needs a little bit of backstory. You can see my bike has a black front fender when normally Classics are color-matched front to back. This is a 2022, and the guy who owned this before me bought it from the same dealer brand new. And the guy only put 900 miles on the bike in the 2 to 3 years that he owned it. So it turns out the guy was 82 years old, and he didn't ride it very much because he had a bum knee, and he used to love going out riding with his wife, but he felt he couldn't hold the bike upright at stop signs, so he went back to the same dealer and traded this in for a three-wheeler. So those two in their 80s are out there riding around too. That's awesome. But when he put it into storage this past winter, something fell on the front fender and left a small dent right here. And instead of waiting a couple of months for a color match one to come from India, the dealer said, why don't we just paint the front fender black, color matched to the frame? Do you believe the story? I believe it. I love the way it looks. I thought that was a great decision, especially now you can see I put the black touring handlebars on. I think the color combination is great. But it definitely needs something on the front fender. It needs a little something, and I'm going to put the RE logo with the wings on this in a color-matched Halcyon gray. And it's going to look like the exact RE logo that's stamped into the back of my backrest. And because I am in no way a detail artist, I am going to use a Royal Enfield decal as a stencil. I ordered some Halcyon Gray touch-up paint from Hitchcock's, and after much playing around and size adjustment, I decided on a 2-inch diameter Royal Enfield logo. Because you can see here, it's almost the width of the Royal Enfield logo that's on my front plate. Now I want to give a quick shout out to Matt at Cool Decals on Etsy. This guy was great. Some of the folks out there wouldn't shrink the sizes of the Royal Enfield logos, some of the decal makers. Every time I asked Matt, I mean, you can see what he sent me here. I asked for 1 1/8, 1 5/8, 2 inches, 3 inches, whatever. I asked for like 5 different sizes. Every time he responded, I got them in 5 days or so, and didn't just get 1, I got 3. He sent 3 or 4 each time. He worked with me, and I finally got the size that I wanted, and it was just a great experience. So if you're going to try something like this, recommend you look up Matt at Cool Decals on Etsy. You'll have good success there. Thanks, Matt. Now the rest of this is really kind of simple. You start off by finding the center of your fender. I just used a flexible, non-scratching tape measure and taped it down to my front fender using the fender mounting screws as my locator. And it turned out the top of the hex bolts are exactly 8 inches apart, so it was easy for me to mark the 4-inch mark as the center of my fender. And when I lined it all up here, you can see it matches the center ridge of the tire too. Next, I used a metal straight edge to line up the bottom of the RE logo so I could square up the edges of the decal. That way they would be nice and square when I mounted them to the masking tape on the fender. Once you're sure you can line up your decal with the marking tape and the center ridge of your tire, you can go ahead and apply the decal like you normally would. Peel off the final application layer and your decal should be in the perfect spot. And because I'm me, I went ahead and masked off everything just so I wouldn't put a drop of paint somewhere where it shouldn't be. Now, to show you this for comparison, I used the brush on the right, which is just a small detailed brush. You can see the actual touch-up paintbrush is quite big and thick, and it was too much for the job. And I also just used a water bottle cap to hold my paint, because you only need a drop or 2 for this. Due to a video glitch, I'm showing you the first 2 coats on a different setup. Your first coat, you just want to be very light and gentle. Try to get right up to the edges of the decal, but not to bleed right onto it. Cover as much of the background color as you can, but don't worry about getting it all on this first coat, and then let it dry for a good hour. For the second coat, you're going to cover the rest of the background color, and you're going to make sure this is as even as you can get it. And for the third coat, I made sure to cover everything and laid it on a little thicker so I could wet sand it. And then let this all dry overnight. The next step is to just hit this with some 1500 wet dry paper, just a little bit with the decal still on there. I'm just trying to level off the touch-up paint and get it down as much as I can before I take the stencil off. Now you just remove the stencil. You might need a razor edge or some other edge to grab some of the corners to pull it up. Pull it back gently, be careful. Sometimes the stencil adhesive will stick to the paint and give it a pull. But take a look at the nice crisp edge using the decal as a stencil gives you. This is great. Finally, what I did was I just gave it another wet sand. Again, I masked the area that I didn't want the sandpaper to hit, and I gave it a wet sand with the 1500 very gently, just taking the final bumps down on the touch-up paint and scuffing up the area that I needed to wax a little bit. did this about 4 or 5 times. And the last step is the happy part. You get to hit this with a little wax, let it dry to a haze, buff it out 2 or 3 times to make this whole Fender beautiful. And when all this is done, take a look at Winston out here in the sunshine with a painted Royal Enfield logo, color matched. Look how good that color match is. The edges are nice and sharp. I think this came out great. I'm very happy with the project. It definitely fills in the look of the front fender on the bike. Now, I'm sure a lot of you folks watching this have a lot better ways to do this. Please leave me a comment or a link. I'd love to know how to get better at this because I'm going to do a few more projects on this bike. Until then, thanks for watching, safe riding, and we'll see you next time.